Do I need a tea before I do this? I think I might. Hang on, I'll be right back. Let me also slip into something more comfortable. Okay, I'm back. You might be wondering what the crystals on my face are. I just feel more creative when I have shit like this on. It helps me step into a more playful energy. I have this, I posted, I think it was William James who said this. Formula to live your dreams. 1 is be bold. 2 is begin now. And 3 is no exceptions. I've made a conscious choice to be more committed to moving forward than to my excuses. This video is going to be getting to know me a bit, my story. There are 2 words I always remember never to use, and that is always and never. I was born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah, but my dad lived in Houston, Texas, so for holidays and summers I would spend time in Texas. So I was around a lot of conservative religious Mormonism in my childhood, which is kind of a big part of my story. By the time I started to act, got really serious about that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be a movie star. Oh God. So by the time that I was 16, I had the option to either finish high school or go start my life doing what I felt like I wanted to do. And my mother was incredibly supportive. So by 16, I moved to Los Angeles with my big sister, and my mom would come out, check up on us and make sure everything was doing okay. I will preface this. I was a very good, responsible youngster. I didn't have this like weird rebellious streak where I just wanted to like, you know, grow up super quickly. There was a part of me that felt like I wanted to stay innocent as long as I could, which is really interesting that I was throwing myself into one of the most predatory industries. Nevertheless, you've got to go follow your dreams. I knew I didn't really give a shit about getting perfect grades and getting into a university. I knew I wasn't going to go to college straight away. You know, I may go get a degree in my 40s or something because I do love learning. I moved to LA, and within a year I already landed myself at a huge agency, William Morris, which then became William Morris Endeavor. I had casting directors kind of really gravitating towards me and pumping me up and saying that I maybe need a little bit more time and experience, but someday I could be the next Cameron Diaz, or you know, she's gonna be huge. My agents would send me emails of like, I had a feeling when I saw her that she's gonna be a star, and then that would get in my head of like, oh shit, I can do this. I really, you know, I can do this. I'm gonna be very successful and set for life. Fast forward, some of you might know me from a Adam Sandler movie I did called Grown Ups. That was kind of my big break. You know, like according to what happens, you have that one breakout role and then it gets momentum and you start booking more roles and your career just kind of takes off, right? So I had that experience, but that experience actually scared the shit out of me. When I got in front of that camera and on that set, I felt absolutely intimidated and inadequate and not equipped with the talent that was, that they had hired me for. And I got really nervous. It goes in line with not having a very strong foundation of self-esteem and inner value and belief that I'm talented, that I'm an artist, all of that. So I got a little bit emotionally traumatized after that experience and started to internalize that I actually wasn't talented, that I can't handle pressure, that it was actually quite scary, that I wasn't ready, that I probably was never going to be ready. There's also an aspect of being kind of sexualized, hypersexualized. That didn't really always feel fun for me. the things that I had to do in auditions didn't feel, let me just put it this way. I went on thousands of auditions, okay? Maybe thousands. Modeling as well, go-sees, castings. I probably hated every single one of them. I dreaded it. The process of it, how it's set up, that it's competitive, you're in the room with all of these other girls and I felt like a monkey doing its dance so that these people in positions of power can, you know, make my dreams come true. I just always didn't like that setup. It didn't feel conducive to creativity and art for me. It felt like a lot of pressure and this weird power struggle and like, you know, whatever. So after that, I was 20 years old. Things just really started internally to go the opposite of a positive way. I started internalizing that not good enough, not talented, not ready. And then obviously when you are internalizing that, that's kind of what you exude. So then I just started bombing my auditions all the time. I also took Accutane for skin issues. That gave me a reverse side effect of rosacea. So then I started blushing in all my auditions, like to the point, not where it's like, oh, you're turning a little red. I had like massive rashes coming out. Sometimes I still, to this day, I don't have any right now. I'm feeling very comfortable in my skin at the moment, which is really, really cute. So I just started bombing, not booking roles. Having my agents being like, what's going on? What do we need to do to get you, you know, they say you're not ready, that you didn't do well, and I just was spiraling, basically. Occasionally I would kind of get in my groove and I would feel okay and my humor would come out and I would like book a role. But the majority of the roles I booked, I really did not like. It wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy the stuff that I was doing. My favorite job, I booked a MTV pilot that was a spin-off, kind of a satire on reality TV. And that was my favorite job. However, it did not get picked up. So after that didn't get picked up, I was 22 and I decided that I wanted to move to New York because my sort of way of wanting to handle the problem of not feeling good enough or talented was to go study. I wanted to like actually get a foundation of a craft so that I could feel more confident. So, and I really didn't want to be in LA anymore. There's an energy in LA that for me always just felt like, oh God. So determined little me makes a move to New York happen. And I enrolled in a conservatory program, a Meisner conservatory program for 2 years where I did, that was very arduous and emotionally taxing. I mean, you're in classes for voice and speech and you're having to like go in and introspect and then movement and you're getting your body and your everything attuned, which now when I look back at that, it's all the type of work that I love doing with healing. I actually didn't really ever give a shit about being a movie star. Maybe my ego did, but I love just the process of creation and healing work, which all those classes did. It made me, for the first time, really do deep dives into myself and like get to know what my insecurities were, what my blockages were, where my blockages were. But through that program, I really started to know what my conditioning was. You know, I had a fear of not being composed. I had a fear of seeming like, you know, phony or fake. Those things would all come to the surface, which was beautiful. I was also letting loose for the first time. My wild side came out when I was living in New York. I was just drinking all the time. On the weekends, I was working as a bottle girl. I was partying. I was going to the Hamptons, working and partying there, coming back to the city, doing my classes, kind of saying no to a lot of auditions because I was like, I'm focusing on studying, AKA I don't want to go on auditions. So my conservatory ends, and I had a kind of like a choice to stay in New York and like hustle and grind, or go back to LA and give LA another go. I didn't like either of those options. So I decided to try moving abroad and experiencing, studying or living in a different country. But this is just a perfect example of, no matter what you want to do, what idea, comes into your head that you're like, okay, I'm gonna do that. If you don't like who you are, if you don't know who you are, if you don't have kind of like a vision of something that you're holding on to, you're gonna be a buoy in an ocean storm. You're just gonna be like not anchored, not grounded, not comfortable in some realities, some now moments. So I had to learn the hard way. I finally got to Berlin. I chose Berlin because my heritage is Swiss German and I wanted to learn German, and I felt like the best way to do that would be to just get there. I get to Berlin, and by the time I get to Berlin, I had some fun moments. I traveled, I went with friends to Greece, I went to Italy, spent some time, traveling through. But then when it came down to what to do for money, what to do for work, the practicalities of life, where I'm gonna live, I didn't have money at that point. I was putting things on credit cards. I got really, 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 really incredibly overwhelmed and freaked out. And I remember sitting on a curb, I was smoking a cigarette, I was starting to smoke, drinking all throughout the day, all the time. I was having panic attacks. I couldn't sleep at night. And I was really, really, that's crazy. I was scared shitless. Like, life scared me because I did not know who I was and what I wanted to do and how to make things happen and how to be okay. And I felt that so strongly. I was like, I'm actually really not okay, and I don't need to be here trying to push myself through these experiences of just being like wild and free. I need to figure out who I am and what I want, and then get on. Wow. Process it out. I don't hold my emotions in. If it comes, let it come, let it go. So I ended up only staying for a month, and I booked my flight back to LA, and I was like, I need to dedicate and give it one more go in LA. Give my career one big all I've got. And I got back to LA, and for the next 2-3 years, I was miserable. I did not like, the world was changing, bloggers and models were getting acting jobs. I wasn't catching on the waves of like what was gonna happen with, tech and all these other platforms, Instagram, Vine. So I was basically just very conflicted. I didn't like what I was doing. And the older you get and the more rejection that compounds and the more disappointed you feel, that just starts compounding. And so I finally hit a point. I went on my last audition and I said, I'm done. And I was on the Fox lot, I had a lot of memories of that lot. And I looked around and I was like, this is my last audition. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not happy. I don't enjoy this. I don't like this. I'm done. I went home and I laid in my bed, and I kind of felt this like weird calm, like relieved that I was actually being honest with myself. And I just was like, do you want to do this? Do you want to keep doing what you're doing and being how you're being and living how you're living? No, this is not for me. The things that I want, I might not know right now, but I know what I don't want. I was in debt. I was experiencing adrenal fatigue. My body was burnt out. I was depressed. I was exhausted. I was like, I need to go like heal and dedicate myself to, really coming to love who I am, because my self-esteem issues, I was like, this is just gonna follow me no matter what I choose to do. I don't believe in myself at this point. I don't know who I am. I don't have a strong foundation of feeling like a soul who has eternal value, because that's really what a soul is. Like, you are infinitely valuable. But if you're not in touch with that feeling, it's not alive in you. So I moved in with my brother and his family in Texas, in like small town suburban Texas, and I got a job at a steakhouse, and I was gonna try to get my debt paid down, get organized financially, and I was eventually gonna move to Austin. But I just needed to pit stop and breathe and not have to pay rent and not have to freak out about survival and money for like a fucking second. So I eventually got myself to Austin, and I'm here now, and then COVID hit, and that kind of put, I think, you know, obviously the world is going through a lot of shifts. My tea's probably good to drink now. It's all steeped. And I didn't even burn my tongue. That's cute. That's my journey up to now. Thanks for watching.